This is lab exercise 2, activity 5, going over the body cavities. So remember, we can divide the body completely into just front and back, or ventral and dorsal. And for the dorsal cavity, we have this big cavity up here known as the cranial cavity. And then we have the spinal cavity. Together, all of those are known as the dorsal cavity. Then on the front, everything from here all the way down to here is considered the ventral cavity. Now, right here where my hand is where the diaphragm muscle would be, and that divides the ventral cavity into the thoracic cavity on top and the abdominopelvic cavity on the bottom. In the thoracic cavity, each lung has its own cavity known as a pleural cavity. And then in the center, this region is called the mediastinum. And then within the mediastinum, the heart has its own cavity as well, known as the pericardial cavity. And remember the membranes that are associated. Each of those cavities has two membranes. So we would have the visceral pleural membrane and the parietal pleural membrane around each lung. And we would have the visceral pericardium and the parietal pericardium around the heart. Now in the abdominal cavity, abdominopelvic, okay, abdominal covers most of it. The pelvic is if we take a diagonal line from the hip bone, whatever is below that line. So that pretty much is limited to genitals and bladder. Everything else would be in the abdominal cavity here, and that is covered by the visceral and parietal peritoneal membranes.